Locked On. Pookie Kloss here with another Pookie's Perspective. Crack open a beer, sit back, relax. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears versus the Indianapolis Colts. The first game for Big Dick Nick this year did not go well. Let's be honest here. The Colts defense is great. That is a great defense. They play hard. Excuse me real quick. They play hard. They rush to the ball. They create a lot of pressure. They may have only had one sack during the game, but man, it seemed like that pocket was cluttered the entire day. It was a tough game for the Bears. Now, I'm hearing people out here yelling and screaming and moaning about, this is Nagy's pet project with Foles has failed. Mitch could have done this. Mitch could have done the same thing. No, he couldn't have. All right. Nick Foles has come in here and played the number one defense in the NFL. They're rated the number one defense in the NFL for a reason. Nick Foles had a very tough assignment this week. Nick Foles stayed calm in the pocket. A lot of those throws got broken up. He went 26 for 42 for 249 yards, a touchdown and interception. The interception slipped right through those fingertips. DB was right there to get the interception. So, I mean, Nick Foles did not play a bad game. Now, can we argue Matt Nagy's play calling? Maybe. Was there too many screens? Perhaps. But when your run game is that bad, you have to start screening. When you have no run game to speak of, you got to get the running backs involved somehow. That involves screens and short passes. When the Colts are taking away the deep pass, and all you have really are those 10-yard passes, maybe 15-yard passes, and you got some short stuff. That's all the Colts were giving you. All right, and it wasn't like Nick Foles had a lot of time to scan the field, look downfield, because Charles Leno is a goddamn turnstile there at left tackle. That guy is awful. And the fact that we have to deal with watching him play because they signed him to a contract off of a fucking season I don't even understand how the fuck he had, but there he is, right there for you. All right, you could take a goddamn scarecrow with its arms extended out wide like this, and that probably would stop more goddamn defenders than Charles Leno was that day. Now, another thing, you had some momentum breaking going on in there. That block punt that really hurt right away. That dropped INT by Khalil Mack, man, you got to come up with that when you tip the ball and it hits you right in the breadbasket. You got to come down with that. But really, you had no run game. You had 42 pass attempts. It was a tough day for the Chicago Bears against a great defense. That's all it was. And when you have two great defenses playing each other, this is the type of game you have going on. The Bears defense is still pretty good, if not great. Yeah, they got penalized a lot today. There was a lot of penalties on the Bears. Eight penalties for 103 yards. That you're giving away too many yards, and you're giving up and you're putting yourself behind the eight ball too often at that point. But that defense still played great. 16 for 29 for Phillip Rivers for only 120 yards. And if you watch that game and you tell me you think Phillip Rivers looked better than Nick Foles, I don't know what you're looking at. There was not a pass out of Phillip Rivers' hands, except for that deep ball on that first drive, that really looked like a great pass. All of it's dead ducks coming at them. Just floaters trying to get to a wide receiver. That's all he's throwing right now. But this is what it is. First quarter for the Bears, if you break the season up into 4 quarters and you can go 3-1 in each quarter, you're a playoff team. You're one of the better teams in the NFL. 3-1 after 4 games. What more could you ask for? But now you hear some guys talking about, well, Matt Nagy is screwed now because this proves that Mitch wasn't the problem. Mitch was the problem. Okay? Nick Foles lost to the best defense in football. Mitch Trubisky was a drop pass away from losing to the Detroit Lions. Mitch Trubisky looked pretty bad against the New York Giants, and the New York Giants is a pretty bad team. It's a bad team. And then he got benched against the Falcons, who is also a bad team. After tonight, the Falcons will be 0-4. What are we talking about here? You go up against a team that's a legit team that might be an AFC contender. They could easily make it to the AFC Championship game with that defense. But nobody's talking about that. Oh, it's Nagy and his play calling. There's not a whole lot to do when you're playing a great defense. It wasn't like the Colts were setting the world on fire against the Bears defense. That's a defensive struggle of a game. Those happen when you have two great defenses. But now we go into Thursday. Nick Foles should be the starter Thursday. Nick Foles is probably going to lose that game. The Bears are probably going to lose that game. Why? Because Tampa Bay is a really good team. Now, defensively, they have some problems. They have a lot of blown coverage issues, some penalty issues. So this should be a game where we can actually see what Nick Foles can do for a whole game. What Matt Nagy and that offense can do for a whole game. Because if they look like this against Tampa Bay, then we got some issues. Then the Bears have a big issue and someone needs to answer for it. But until then, this was a great defense. But they're probably going to lose against Tampa Bay just because of Tom Brady and what that offense could do. What they did against the Chargers, being behind the 8 ball, being down by a lot. And Tom Brady just did Tom Brady things. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's hard to defend. Now, definitely the Bears have a better defense than the Chargers. So maybe they could pull that game out. If you can keep Tom Brady to 30 points or 24 points. Nick Foles against that defense. If that offense looks capable of being an actual NFL offense, that's a winnable game. So all this talk about Mitch could have done exactly what Nick Foles could have done. Mitch Trubisky looked scared and timid in the pocket against the Atlanta Falcons, who have no pass rush, who have no defense, who can't play a full game. They can't play 4 quarters. Nick Foles played the toughest defense in football this year, statistically, and did not look awful. Mitch Trubisky would have looked awful against that defense. Thursday night, the Bears should have a chance to win that game. The Bears definitely need to show that they can get that running game going, and that passing game needs to look a little bit stronger. But that running game really needs to get going. If they can't do that against Tampa Bay, there's a lot of issues in the Chicago Bears organization, and heads need to roll. As for that, that's all I got to say about the Bears and Colts. Tampa Bay Thursday night should be an interesting game. I will be on this channel tomorrow looking back at the rest of the NFL from this week, week 4 of the NFL action, looking at the games that I thought were intriguing last week, what to come. So check back on the channel tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you know when I post it tomorrow. And other than that, if you disagree with everything I just said, leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, if you will. Have a toast. Drink up, boys. This has been Pookie's Perspective. Thank you very much. I'm signing out.